Hey, I'm finally back. Oh, I've been so busy. I do my true crime podcast, my Patreon podcast, which is the same as Kelly's Coffee and Crime Chat. And now I'm back with Kelly's Coffee and Movie Chat. I'm drinking Java Mama pumpkin apple cake. I forgot my hair's still wet. I want to make sure it dries. Okay, here we go. Oh, guess what this week is? Friday the 13th. Guess what franchise I'm doing. Yep. You got it right. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do the franchise. I don't have all the DVDs because I don't like all the movies. So what I'm doing, I'm going to move my arts and crafts out of the way. I'm making a horror movie book. And since it's Friday the 13th, I have a page on like almost every movie. And of course, the Friday the 13th one is not coming up. You know, like when you try to find a page and you can't. Here we go. There's the stickers for Jason. And then on the next page, there's some more with the Jason paper in the background. And then I've got Rate the Friday the 13th movies and We Love Fridays. I got this on a t-shirt. It's the camp. If you look real close, it's the camp. And then it just comes out and makes the, it's like pictures inside of a picture, which I think is so cool. And then it's like the hockey mask. So I've got Rate the Halloween ones, Rate the Scream movies, and Rate the Friday the 13th, because, you know, I never saw all the Freddy ones, and I don't know whether to put one in for that. I could, because I don't know if I'm going to sell this or just keep it myself. It might just be mine. We'll see. Okay, since I don't have all of them, I'm going to start with the original. It still has the tag on it. Man, this messes with my eyes. See how it does that? It's like in 3D. I didn't realize it still had the tag on it. This was, of course, bought at a store. That's why it was bought at Best Buy. I must have got it like a long time ago because I haven't been to Best Buy in forever. But I wanted to talk about, I've not seen this remake. I think I've seen parts of it, and I heard that it was not the mother in the remake. But I really like this one because I remember seeing it as a kid when it came on. I didn't see it in the theater, of course, because I think I was 10 when it came out. So I saw when it came on, like, the premium channels, and my dad and stepmom and some of their friends even sat around and watched it. And I was the only one, I think, in the room that did not jump when Jason came out of the water at the very end and grabbed her by the neck when she was in the boat. I just didn't jump at that. I never have. I knew something was going to happen, though. You know, I was like, oh, you think it's over? And I'm like, I know something. Even at a young age, I knew something was going to happen. But I really don't think this is the best. You know, usually they say the first is the best. This is a new unrated version, or unrated edition. I need to watch it because I don't know what they put in. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. I think I watched it, of course, and I don't remember what they... Well, it does show Jason's face a little bit more on the back of this. I am going to have to watch this again. I just watched the regular one on... I think it was Max or Paramount Plus. And this actually has The Man Behind the Legacy, which is Sean S. Cunningham. A Friday the 13th reunion. And Lost Tales from Camp Blood Part 1. And I know I've probably watched these, but of course it's been a while since I bought this because you saw it had a Best Buy sticker on it. But this is not a bad movie. I would give it 4 out of 5 coffees for this one. And Friday the 13th is the one where I'll just talk about the plot, because the back don't really say. Oh, okay, here we go. With this edition of the unrated footage and insightful special features, plunge deeper into the film that spawned 11 sequels and the genre's unstoppable bad guy, Jason Voorhees. A new owner and several young counselors gather to reopen Camp Crystal Lake, where a young boy drowned and several vicious murders occurred years earlier. Actually, it was only 2. They've ignored the locals' warnings that the place has a death curse. And one by one, they find out how unlucky Friday the 13th can be, as they are stalked by a violent killer. And that's what it is. So they were actually starting to open it. And I'm sitting here watching it the other night, and where the one girl's laying in bed and she hears the what do I want to say? She hears a little boy say, "Help me." I'm like, don't get up. Don't go out there. You know how they do things in horror movies. And then at the end, I remember seeing this as a kid, where the main character, or the final girl, I can't think of her name in the movie, but she kept hitting the mother and then leave and then running away. It's like, you knock her out and run away. What are you doing? Stand there and beat the crap out of her. Make sure she's dead. And then there is a little fun fact here at the end, where Jason's mother gets her head chopped off, and then you see the hands come up like this, and then the body going back. That's a man. It is the makeup artist, and I cannot think of his name. And you can see the hair on the knuckles. And I always thought as a kid, I thought, she had some man hands. You know, she had some really big hands, but she doesn't. Betsy Palmer, that plays Jason's mom, she has real tiny hands. And the reason I know this is because this is highly recommended. Get this, Crystal Lake Memories. There's a documentary on here of all the sequels. And I don't know if the remake is on here, but because I was trying to see a year when this was out. But they talk to the same people in these movies that are still around, and even Betsy Palmer, and they have interviews with them. So, and there's talk about this, and I wish they would do this, that they would have the actual, all the final girls come together in a final Friday the 13th and kill Jason. They talk about this, and I thought, oh, what an awesome idea. So that's what this is, and it's highly, highly recommended. It is very good. It's got the makeup artist talking about it. He's very famous. I can't think of his name. But there's interviews with Corey Feldman hosts it, or is the MC host, introduces it basically on each movie. And they even talk about the old Friday the 13th TV series. This is 5 out of 5 coffees. This is good. I suggest picking it up. You can probably find it on Amazon. Thrift Books is also another really good place. I've been finding used DVDs and books for a cheaper price, if you're looking for a cheaper price. But sometimes their DVDs are kind of, they play, but when you look at them, it looks like somebody like splattered something on them or something. It's like, can't they take care of their DVDs? But narrated by Corey Feldman. He's the narrator, not host. But it's got Wes Craven, Robert Englund. Oh, Adrienne King is the final girl from the first one. All of the, let's see, Betsy Palmer. It's got a lot of interviews with a lot of famous people and people from the movies. So that's what that is. Very good. Very good documentary. I actually liked part 2 probably better than the first one. I really thought this was a good one. I liked both of them, but I would probably give this one, I said 4 out of 5. This one would probably get 5 out of 5. Not 5. I wouldn't say 5 out of 5. I'm going to do 4 out of 5 for all the ones I have here. I'm not going to give them a perfect score. But this one I liked a little bit better. If I could give it 4.5 cups, I would. But that one I really liked. And I think that probably, I wouldn't say the best one. Because after a while, because this is the only one that Jason did not have the hockey mask in. It was like when you're like, well, the mother's killed. Who's killing people? It can't be Jason. He's dead. He was a little kid drowned in the water. You know what I mean? I like that one a lot. So one of the reasons I like these two is because you don't know who the killer is in either one, really. I mean, you figure it's Jason in part 2. But then you're thinking, how can it be Jason? This is probably my favorite one as far as the actors in it. This has the most character development. It has good acting. Actors that were well known or would become well known. Now the first one has Kevin Bacon in it. I know a lot of people don't know that. The part 1 has Kevin Bacon in it. And they talk about, he's not on the documentary of Crystal Lake Memories, but they talk about his scene and the girl that was in bed with him, and she's on there talking. She's like, I had the first love scene with Kevin Bacon. But they talk how they did that through the bed when he got stabbed through the bed, through the neck, and they talk about how they did that. And it actually was a happy accident that it happened. What happened was the blood wasn't coming out, so the makeup artist, I think it was the makeup artist, was blowing through that hose where the blood was supposed to come out, and there was an air bubble in it, and it went like a kind of like a fountain, and it was like, oh, that was a happy accident, and that's how that happens. But it was very interesting to find out how they do these kill scenes in that documentary. But this one has, I think the only one that I remember being famous at the time was Peter Barton, and he was in, what was that one? He was in a movie. Was it Motel Hell or Motel? He was in another horror movie with Linda Blair, and I think that's what the name of it was. I might be wrong. I might not be saying the right thing. I'm not sure if that was the name of it, but he was the one that was kind of known at the time. Corey Feldman was a little kid. He wasn't known. Crispin Glover wasn't well known at that time. And then the other guy was the guy in Mask, with Cher. I can't think of his name in real life. Crispin Glover, it's not on the back of this. Lawrence his last name starts with an M. You'd know him if you saw him, but he was in Mask, and he was in the greatest, not greatest, Last American Virgin, which was big in the 80s with all the teenage sex show movies, and he was in that. So, but this is a good one. This is a very good one. Now, in this one, Jason is pronounced dead and taken to the hospital morgue, where he's mysteriously revived, of course, allowing his diabolical killing spree to continue at the camp where the gruesome slaughtering began. But this time, in addition to terrified teenagers, he meets a young boy named Tommy Jarvis, who has a special talent for horror masks and makeup. Leading up to a horrifying, bloody battle that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Has the diabolical Jason finally met his match? But this one's good. This is the one where they run out of house. See, and then after it gets so far, they don't even do Camp Crystal Lake anymore. They're always at different areas. Like they run out of house, or they're on a farm. That was number 3. Number 3 was supposed to be in 3D. It was in 3D in the theaters. But they never came out with a 3D on the DVD that I know of. That one was okay. I didn't get it, but I didn't buy it, is what I mean. And then after 5, they had this, the final chapter, and then number 5 came out with a new beginning. The killer wasn't even Jason. I'm like, really, people? This is what you're trying to give us? The killer's not even Jason. And then every movie, the gore scenes get worse and worse. And when I mean worse, I mean gross. Gross and worse. It's like, who would even think of this? And then 6, I did not like at all. Some people like 6. It was Tommy as an adult. I don't even remember much of it. 7, I saw the night I graduated high school, because the guy I was going out with, we're like, let's go do something. Let's go see Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. That one wasn't bad. That one had more Carrie vibes in it, where the girl had telekinesis, if I'm saying that right, and she was fighting Jason with her mind. That one was not bad. As far as all these other ones, I was like, that one really wasn't bad. And then 8 was the one where it was on a cruise ship the entire time. Even though it's called Jason Takes Manhattan, it's on a cruise ship the entire time. I didn't even watch it. I'm like, if he's going to Manhattan, forget it. This is not Camp Crystal Lake. This is not what the franchise is. I don't like that, so I never saw it. I have seen clips of it. And they talk about it in the documentary of Crystal Lake Memories. 9, I think, was Jason Goes to Hell. That one wasn't bad. I saw that, and that was back when Blockbuster was out. And I rented it, and the guy across the counter they always opened the VHS cases to make sure you got the right movie. He goes, Jason Goes to Heck. I'm like, gosh, just say Jason Goes to Hell. So I'll never forget that. But that one wasn't bad. Truth is, I don't remember a lot of it. I watched it for something to watch. And then 10, I didn't watch. 10 was Jason X, where he's in space. It's like, come on. And then the only one that I remember watching that was fairly okay, fairly enjoyable at times was Jason versus Freddy, which I'm trying to remember which one that was. I'm sure they'll talk about it in the documentary. I need to watch that again too. So I need to watch this uncut version of 1 and the documentary and number 2. But that Jason versus Freddy wasn't bad. I did like the fact after Jason Goes to Hell that it had, we weren't expecting this at the time it was out, but the very ending had the hockey mask laying on the ground, and then you're not even expecting this, but up comes Freddy's hands, grabs the masks, and yanks it down. I loved that. I did not expect Freddy to show up. And then I'm like, okay, what's the next one going to be? Jason and Freddy in hell? But it was Jason versus Freddy. And then I had the idea of, how about they have Jason versus Freddy in hell? And neither one of them wins. Michael Myers comes out and beats them all dead and then wins. That was my idea. But kind of funny. But see, they had a TV show and I didn't watch that. That one wasn't the same as the movies. I did not see the remake. I heard that the remake wasn't even the same thing as the original. I'm waiting for the requel because now they're doing requels. They just did the Exorcist one, which I have not seen. And of course, they started with Halloween. Scream 5 was a requel. And then they did, well, it was supposed to be, because it was just called Scream, even though the little V in the M was the 5. But that's what they're doing now, and which I like. I like it, especially if it's a franchise where I don't like any of the sequels or most of the sequels. Let's do another new Friday. I don't even know if they remade part 2 of Friday the 13th. I don't even remember. I know they did the first one, but I didn't read the back of part 2, so I'm going to do that now. Get ready for Twice the Terror with Friday the 13th part 2. 5 years after the massacre at Camp Crystal Lake. 5 years. I didn't even realize that it was 5 years later. The nerve-wracking legend of Jason Voorhees and his diabolical mother lives on. Despite ominous warnings from the locals to stay away from Camp Blood, a group of counselors at a nearby summer camp decide to explore the area. So they're nearby Camp Crystal Lake. But they decide to explore the area where 7 people were brutally slaughtered. All too soon, they encounter horrors of their own, and the killing begins again. You'll be at the edge of your seat for this gruesome thriller about 24 hours of bone-chilling fear. You'll be at the edge of your seat for this gruesome thriller about 24 hours of bone... 24 hours. Oh, probably because it takes place all in 24 hours. I had to stop and think about that for a minute. But I do like this. There's the back of it. He's got the sack on his head in this one. And there's only one eye cut out of the sack. I'm thinking maybe he could only see out of one eye. I don't know. But then they came up with, and they say in here how they came up with the hockey mask for the third one. And the guy that played Jason in number 3 has passed away. He was British, I think. And then they talk about, I love when they talk about this one in the documentary, because they talk about how the director was acting and Jason, the guy that played Jason, threatened to quit because the way he was talking to that girl, the girl that was in the boat, the raft, she was or the blow up raft. And then Jason was supposed to come up with a knife in the raft up through her. But her body was laying in the boat and she was like this. So she was on her stomach and the knife was supposed to come up through. But in real life, that body was a mannequin or a fake body. And she was in the water with her head sticking up out of the boat. And it was cold. And I forgot what time of year they filmed this, but it was not hot in the summertime. It was cold. And it was hours she was in that water. And that's where all of the arguing came from. That she's going to get hypothermia. And she did after it was shot. And the guy that played Jason told the director, we've got to go warm her up. And the director, I forgot who he was, said, no, we got to get this done. he's like, she's freezing to death. And then that's when he argued with him and threatened to walk off and quit. So he's the one that Jason was the hero who got her warmed up inside and was able to come back out. But she did get very sick after that. Now they got unions so that, back then they didn't have protection like that, like they do now. There's no way in the world would I be doing that. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably end up quitting if I was frozen to death. I'd probably walk off too. I probably would walk off. I don't know if I could come back and do it unless I was warmed up. But man, it's just very interesting. So that documentary is it's 2 discs, and it is highly recommended. And I don't know if you could stream this. You might be able to stream it on Prime, Amazon Prime maybe. I'm not sure. But I give the final chapter 4 out of 5 coffees. I give number 3 out of 5 coffees. So all these get four coffees. Well, actually, number 2 and number 4 get 4.5. I can't give a 4.5. I don't have a little emoji, but to do it. But in my mind, these 2 would get 4.5. Friday the 13th would get 4, and then number 3 would get 3. I don't care about the rest of them. The rest of them get 1 cup. Maybe Jason versus Freddy will get 2 cups. And then maybe, Jason versus Freddy might get 2 cups. Jason Goes to Hell, maybe 2 cups. I don't know. They all get 1. That's my, everybody have a wonderful and safe Friday the 13th. It's coming tomorrow, and I just wanted to get this done. So tomorrow's Friday the 13th, and everybody can enjoy the franchise. I will see you next time with either Scream franchise or Halloween. It depends on how close to Halloween. I'm going to do the Halloween franchise when it gets closer to Halloween. But that is all for today. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Friday the 13th and month of October. I will see you at the next Kelly's Coffee and Movie Chat. See you next time.